I know a lot of people don't believe in gender anymore, but for me, it was literally both sets of genitals.
So who are you, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Emma Dowd. I wasn't always Emma Dowd. My original name was Jason Dowd. I had found out that I was intersex pretty much around the 10th or 11th grade of my youth. And I did things that I needed to do to try to stop it, only because of the fact that I was bullied really, really bad. And coming to where I was down here, things were just not as known about this type of thing. So I started developing secondary female characteristics, and they told me testosterone would stop it. So I took the testosterone that I needed to take, and it completely screwed up my life. And it pretty much stuck me into where I was for the longest time. And I thought, this is my life now. This is how I'm going to have to live. I felt like I was stuck inside of a role, like a movie, since I was born, and they never said cut. It was a really tough journey for me, but I made the best of it. And I always tried to smile along the way. Around 2019, things changed, and I finally learned to accept myself and love myself for who I am.
Who is that person?
I'm a Dowd, and it is the true person I was born as. Being intersex, you generally have at least one or two characteristics of both genders. I was chosen a long time ago. I have not gone through any surgeries. What you're seeing is just how I went when I got off the testosterone. And now that I have a different meaning, I can actually try to help people and educate people about what I am, because it is a rare condition.
People were coming on my Twitter when I announced that I was going to be interviewing you, and they said, that's not true. People can't have both sets of genitalia, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, this is how, like, she explained it to me. I'm using her words. Intersex can mean a number of different things, right?
It can mean a couple of different chromosome abnormalities. It could be that you were born female, but you have a testicle inside of you.
Right.
Or you are born male with a female uterus and ovaries. Doesn't mean that they work, but you do have them. And there are so many varieties of this now that we've learned, more so than this. However, I was born with a uterus and ovaries, and I had what they considered an elongated clit and a vagina. So it was a little bit of both, but it was longer than your typical clit, but it was shorter than a typical penis. Being a child, they thought, you know what, it's probably a boy. And they just sewed up what I had down there and turned it into a, basically did like a semi-bottom surgery to make me full male.
But you don't have testicles or an actual functioning penis. So
right, yes.
Why did they do that? I guess they figured they had to do something.
They had to do something, and they probably figured it would work, but obviously it wouldn't work until you get older. So there was really no way of telling. I mean, technically, we both pee through the same thing, you know, with female and men. It's just you can't see yours, where as a male, you can. Right. So in all technicality, it was just there. I get the logic. When I was born, it would be easier to make me a female than a male. But if I found out that I was male later, it would be harder for them to go backwards to make the penis. So that's why they figured just let it go and just make me who I wanted to be.
So you originally potentially thought that you were a gay guy, right? Because you felt very feminine, but you felt feminine because it turns out you're a woman. Would you say that you have more female parts than male parts, I guess?
I would say so. I mean, when
do you think because of that, it made you feel more like a woman, or does that?
I think,
like, for intersex people, I don't know the statistics behind it, you know?
It is very rare. I think when I was born, it's like 1 in 68,000. And
people
it is
to be intersex, or just
to be intersex.
Okay.
And it was considered originally hermaphrodites.
Right.
So, and now they stopped using that word because now it's not PC or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. You can call me whatever you want. But basically, I have a 46XX chromosome CAH. That's it in a layman's terms. I have the female genitals, but it have the 46 is a little bit of a deviation. So it's kind of like, mostly, I think from what I've seen, most people are 45. So I'm almost like to the point where like an autistic scale. That's kind of how it kind of goes away. With that, I do have, my brain is wired female and always was. I was small. I didn't have the body structure that men had. And I took a weightlifting course, and yet I couldn't put on any muscle. I couldn't put on that heavy muscle. I didn't have the stamina like most men did. The other thing that I noticed is that I didn't grow facial hair.
Basically, you have no Y chromosomes at all.
Exactly.
They just figured, okay, it looks like a penis. We think we're gonna raise him this way, blah blah blah. And you're like, a girl, no.
Right, exactly. Right. So I didn't have the muscle mass. I never got the facial structure where I have like all the hair. I didn't have the body hair, and of course that made me get picked on when I was a kid. You know, I mean, everybody. I saw it. I had friends that were in like 10th grade and had a full beard, and here I am looking like this.
When you went on testosterone, did you feel better about yourself or worse about yourself?
Actually, I felt worse.
That makes sense. You probably got bullied less.
I did get bullied less,
but that doesn't matter because
unfortunately
it wasn't who you truly were.
Exactly. And that was the problem. When I had it, I thought I could deal with this when I got out of school. So it stopped the breast development. It stopped the period, which was good. But being a 46XX chromosome, a lot of the things you do have, you also have like autoimmune diseases that you're more susceptible to, like muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, and things like that. I have that. So that actually sped that up. And so that really made me sick. And it was really hard to deal with. When I got off the testosterone, because I was basically a intersex person, I could produce a little bit more hormones. So I stopped the testosterone and it brought it up to maybe at a level 400, which for most men, they should be at 700 minimum. And that's like, get to the doctor. For me, when I started hormones, I was at about a 180 to 190 in that range for my estrogen. And I was at about a 45 to 50 for my testosterone. That's normal for female.
Oh,
that's why
normal.
they said, they're like, oh my God, you have the hormones of
running body, right? Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So the testosterone boosted that up, but it never gave me enough to truly be a true male. So I never felt male. I never felt anything. In fact, I felt more awkward and I was tired and sick all the time. It made me very angry. When I stopped that, my body came down a little bit and kept it at a low level, really low level. But I'm like, well, I guess this is how my life is. And that really caused depression. I had to try to play this part. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing in school. You know, I mimicked other guys.
How is dating? You said in the email that you were married to a woman.
Yes.
But you're not attracted to women.
I'm not attracted to women.
But since you thought you were a man, I
played the part. I played the part.
How is dating right now? Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have a vaginal opening anymore, right?
Not anymore.
And it's not like you have a prostate to stimulate.
And I tell people like this now. I do get hit on a lot on Facebook and stuff like that. And I said, you got to be a special guy to be with me because you can't be with me like a typical female. But you can be with me as a typical gay couple, even though I don't technically look and I have the female body parts.
Does it bother you that the trans movement has lumped you under the umbrella of LGBT? I find it rather dehumanizing to place identities on people without their permission.
In my situation now, technically, yes, I am considered a lesbian. With my chromosomes and everything else, I am a lesbian. However, it's a medical condition, and that's something that people tend to forget. It is something you're born with. It's not in your mind. It is physically inside your body. Your chromosomes are different. Your body's different. Your genitals are different. Everything's different. And it's like a mixture between each other. I don't doubt that there isn't something medical with a transgender too. And I think that,
but it's still different. It's different.
It is different. It is different. And I'm wondering, I've always wondered this, if they did more chromosomal tests on people that are considering transgender, what if they have the same problem as me, but they were misdiagnosed as transgender? And I've been noticing that the LGBTQ has just been, they don't even say I. If you go to the LGBTQ website, it just says transgender and I'm marked underneath them. So we are blended together. According to their definitions, we're one and the same.
This is probably the most interesting thing about you is that you consider yourself, even though you are medically intersex, you consider yourself a detransitioner.
Yeah.
But that was because it was forced on you, not because you chose to transition, which is very interesting. And I think kids these days are doing the opposite. I want you, if you had a message to them right now, because we know, you and I both know a lot of these kids are making mistakes. They're just lumping themselves in with being trans when they don't have gender dysphoria, when they're simply gender non-conforming, or they just dye their hair blue, or they're gay, right? A lot of them are just gay. Like you said, you know the dangers of medically transitioning, you know the facts. What do you have to say in regards to all of that, since you are technically a detransitioner?
I mean, technically there was two parts to this. When I was born, when I had no say over anything, I was surgically altered. But when I got to the point where I was in high school, I took the testosterone. They said it wasn't going to really bother and change me that much, but it severely did. And then, like I said, when I got out of it, I realized that I have things that I will never get back. I will never have the higher voice that I used to have. My message to you guys are, A, love your body however you can. Know all the facts before you go through, because I know a lot of schools and a lot of other places, especially people on the left, are like, just do it. Just do it. Oh, you're okay. You must be gay. You must be transgender. Go do it. You know, you need the surgery. You need this right away. This stuff can be permanent. A lot of it can come back out, which is good, but most of it you'll realize is permanent. And I've been watching videos of people, and it breaks my heart that they have kind of felt forced into doing this. They probably went to some doctor that just said, gave them whatever they wanted just to shut them up. It severely hurts them. I would suggest going onto YouTube and just putting detransition, and you'll see stories from so many people. You know, you got to realize if you're male going to female and you want to go back after having your breast grown, you're going to have a mastectomy. There are going to be 2 big lines underneath your pecs for the rest of your life. For men, and then if you do go through the bottom surgery to go reverse, it's never going to look the same. It's never going to act the same. You will never have testicles again. You'll never be able to have children again. Even if you do go through the transition medically and not go through a physical change with the surgeries, you can be rendered infertile. Luckily for me, I never had a choice. I was born that way.
Right.
So, but a lot of people are. And if you are going to do this and you may have any type of ideas that you may regret it, freeze your eggs, freeze some sperm. You don't need people to accept you. You are who you are. You need people to respect you enough to not antagonize, hurt you, or demoralize you. If somebody's different or has somebody has a different vision or political view of you, doesn't make them a bad person. It gives you an idea to start to think. We need to be more open-minded to these things.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Where can people find you? On Twitter, on Instagram?
Instagram, everything that I have, social media, is Emma Lynn Dowd. They can go to my website. It's also Emma Lynn Dowd, DOWD. So just hit me up there. I love to talk to people. If you have any questions, further questions than this, I'm happy to answer you. If you're going through a detransition, I want to help you because I've been there in a small way. I want to help, and I want to help people as much as I can. I love everybody. So I don't care what part of the spectrum you're on, whatever you are, if you need to talk, I'm a safe space.